Voila, Dumi, very beautiful. Your decorating skills are on point.
Palisa, I am quite a bit of a baker when it comes to simple things, but I also know that I need some skills here and there, and that's why Michaela's here.
Absolutely. Usher in Michaela to save the day. So, Michaela, finally, the aprons are on and we are ready to get baking.
Yes, we are.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, are you looking for a reason to celebrate? Well, look no further, as we have the perfect recipe for you. Michaela is in our kitchen today to give us the perfect baking masterclass, and she'll be showing us how not only to make cupcakes, but to decorate them as well. Now, Michaela, I am ready. What do we need?
So, these are the ingredients we need for the base. You guys already have prepped bases and prepped icing, and then it's going to be a duel-off to see who can do them the best, but the slowest. But, yeah.
Okay.
Because we have a while to, do this. Okay. So, go slow, guys, and just make the best of it.
Okay. Dumi, this is a challenge. Are you up for a challenge?
I'm up for it. I'm up
challenge
for it.
accepted.
Challenge accepted, yes.
So as you are creating this delicious soft base, now in our interview earlier, you promised us that you have this foolproof recipe to ensure that the bun, the actual sponge of the cake is delicious every single time. So as Dumi and I do get to decorating our cupcakes, what do we need to create that delicious foolproof sponge?
So this is the sponge cake I use for everything. Sorry to anyone who's eaten my baked goods. Now you know what goes into it. We have some all-purpose flour, always the way to go. We have some caster sugar, some baking powder, some vanilla essence, oil, which helps to add the soft texture to the bake. We have some eggs, 4 of them, and some boiling water. And the way we start this recipe, I'm just going to move the sieve onto the stove top. It's not on. We are going to separate our eggs into whites and yolks, most essential part of the recipe.
Okay, so why is this so important to be able to separate that egg?
The separation of the egg allows for the whites to create that soft, fluffy texture that you want.
One thing that's very important that I want to know, that I've always wanted to know, you said we're making vanilla cupcakes right now.
Yes.
So what makes a vanilla cupcake vanilla? Is it the icing or is it the sponge?
It's the sponge all the way. I'm a lazy baker when it comes to cleaning.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how I do it. I always whip the egg whites first. We're going to skip that step for now because someone did it for me.
Well done.
Okay, brilliant. So essentially,
Kitchen fairies.
You'd whip all that egg white up into those beautiful, soft, airy peaks.
Yes. And then I wouldn't even bother washing my beater, my beaters. You just put it directly into your bowl and start off slow so that the sugar doesn't go everywhere. And once it's combined, turn up the speed, and you'd want to keep whisking this until it goes light and fluffy. So it's almost like a Genoese where you beat everything with the eggs. Like that's where you get your rise in it, mostly from your eggs. So you try and whip in as much air as possible. See, and it's going like a lighter color.
Yeah, I can definitely see it changing slowly but surely. And when you did start this recipe, you mentioned that everything is room temperature.
Yes.
And the only thing that wasn't room temperature was also warm water. So why is it so important to make sure that all of your ingredients before you start is room temperature?
So with eggs, you always need them at room temperature because it changes the formula and the structure of the integrity of the egg. You'll find that if you use an egg that comes directly from the fridge and you add that to a mixture, it doesn't quite beat as well. Because obviously now you've frozen the molecules in it, so you need it to settle down to a point where it's nice and workable again. Okay, so you get to this beautiful light.
I see.
Yeah. And what you'd want to do is then scrape down the sides of the bowl. That's always an essential part when it comes to baking. Scrape down the sides and mix it back into the center because you don't want any lumps, anything that hasn't been properly incorporated to sit on the sides of the bowl, because when you're then baking it, you're going to have these spots of egg that should have been mixed into it.
So it has to be very smooth.
Yes.
Okay,
so we have that beautiful mixture now. And then what you'd want to do is I like this recipe, you can just throw. I know some people tend to like to gradually add things. No one has time for that.
Okay, you can pour it in.
Okay, so you throw all the all-purpose flour in to your sieve and 3 semi-heaped-ish baking teaspoons of baking powder, and you're just gonna give that a sieve into the bowl. So we're gonna take half cup of whichever vegetable oil or canola oil you prefer using. I usually do canola because I like to think it's a little bit healthier.
Okay.
And also I find it's the most neutral in flavor oil, which is always something that I like. I'm very aware of oil flavors. So as much as everyone loves extra virgin olive oil, I can't handle the flavor.
And not for everything, hey. You have to be able to
for
play.
baking, please.
Okay, on the decorating station, we're pretty much done, ne, Dumi?
I think we are, Pali.
And on that note, I mean, when the cameras zoom in to see the amazing masterpiece that I have made and what I've done, you might be wondering, how did I make sure that my icing was pliable for me to create the P for Bali and the AE for Afternoon Express, and that's because I used some milk. Now, what's amazing about milk is that if you add it into your icing mixture, it just makes that icing a little bit more workable.
Yeah.
It thins it out a little bit more, and that's what I'm here for, making it, voila, perfect.
That looks very beautiful, Palisa. But then if you look over on my side over here,
Hectic.
I decided to go all in. I mean, we're doing blue. Before we get into that, I think, Michaela, you've added a very important step into that batter.
So we mixed the oil and the boiling water together.
Okay.
And then once it's combined, it's quite it's not a very dense mixture.
Yeah.
And it looks a little bit runny, which is what you want. Because when you start folding in the egg white, you don't want a mixture that's so heavy it condenses the egg whites and basically destroys the structure that you've tried to build by whipping them. So now you gently fold them into the mixture and always scoop from the edges of the bowl inwards, and then I always like to do a figure of 8. So outwards, figure of 8 in, and you just want to combine those egg whites. And the most important tip when it comes to the egg whites is you don't want to whip them to a point where they start to split too much. Because that also decreases the integrity of the cupcakes when you're baking them. It makes for very flat, almost like you get that hollow in the cupcakes, which is not what you want.
Okay. So just like that, it seems as if we do continue to make sure all of our ingredients are incorporated quite well, Michaela has already ushered us all the way to the finished product. As soon as that batter is done, she puts it into the tray. She gets a little 1, 2, 1, 2, making sure that there are no air bubbles. In the oven for 180?
180 degrees Celsius. I tend to like to eye it.
Okay.
So when it comes to ovens, they're all different. I can tell you, do it for 15 minutes, and actually your oven is a lot hotter.
Yeah.
And then you take it out and they've actually reached a point where they've overbaked.
So make sure you keep your eye on it the entire time. Put it in the center, and who knows, maybe yours will be done in a matter of no time. But don't worry, to get this recipe, head over to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full ingredients list.